Things were going great after Miguel Vargas hit a grand slam, and then it went to bad after he left the game with a wrist injury. Let's discuss the latest core player to go down with an injury on today's episode of Locked On White Sox.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm your host, Todd Welter, a lifelong Sox fan, a contributor for SouthsideShowdown.com, part of the fan side of the network. And also I've covered Major League Baseball for outlets such as the Associated Press. And thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure to hit the like button on today's episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox if you've not done so already. Additionally, follow or subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Well, I want to discuss Miguel Vargas hurting his wrist being the latest way the young core doesn't have a chance to finish out the season. Then I'll discuss being jealous of the Yankees lineup. And finally, let's discuss a couple of pending Yankees free agents the White Sox could target in the offseason. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. All right, so if there was ever a moment to say, that's so White Sox, it would be what happened to Miguel Vargas. Because he goes from crushing his first career grand slam in the second inning to tie the game up at 4. And it's basically a whole brand new ball game because Davis Martin, he got on the struggle bus to start the game. Yankees pound him for 4 runs. I think Cody Bellinger hit a first inning home run. So Miguel Vargas's grand slam completely changes the momentum. It's a whole different ball game now. And the Sox are going toe to toe with the defending American League champs. But then 3 innings later, he leaves the game with a wrist injury after basically banging his wrist on Aaron Judge's thigh as Judge is charging for first base because Vargas has to try to field an errant throw by Curtis Mead. And the throw is basically in the path of the first baseline. And it did not look good. Vargas tumbled down in pain. He was on the ground for a while. And as of right now, as I'm recording this, it is still a left wrist contusion per the White Sox. They immediately took him to get x-rays, and that was the report. Left wrist contusion. And Vargas did talk to reporters after the game, but it still did not look good. And he's going to be evaluated further today. So as of right now, as I record this, it could be, maybe it is, best case scenario, just a really bad bruise. But the way that wrist bent, it doesn't look good. And even if it is just a bruise, 10-day IL this man. Let's not play a man down for a little bit. Put him on the injured list. But if the injury is worse, and if it is a season-ending injury, my heart breaks for Vargas because he's been really impressive this season. B, it really ruins the chance to see a fully healthy young core try to finish the season out strong. And the other reason my heart breaks, and hats off to Jordan Lazowski of Sox on 35th for pointing this out on X, formerly Twitter, this could have been avoidable obviously me needs to throw a better throw to first, but it could have been avoidable as MLB needs to adopt what college has, and it's basically that running base and the fielding base. Basically, you have a running lane so that players can avoid collisions at first base. But Mead's throw is so far off that I'm not sure the extended base would have prevented this. But still, the White Sox are going to have to finish out the season without Vargas. Probably. They're at least going to probably have to go 10 games without him. Because again, you kind of need your wrists to hit. And I don't want to ask Miguel Vargas to play one-handed, kind of like they asked Luis Robert Jr. to play one-handed. What was it, in 2022 with that wrist injury? Either way, it's hard to see Vargas's momentum just get absolutely stopped because he was hitting 281 with an 803 OPS this month. He had a 286 average and a 1.016 OPS over the past 7 days. And now you add him to the injury, to the wounded, basically. Luis Robert Jr. just went on the injured list, and he's likely out for the season. And I talked about it on yesterday's episode. Colson Montgomery is now also dealing with some side soreness that kept him out yet again, although the team doesn't think it's going to be a long-term thing. But again, you always just got to take this with a grain of salt with this team, because it always seems like it's just, it's okay. He'll be back. And then it's like, well, no, he's got to go on the injured list. And this is the season where it's like, if it's preventing a guy from playing, although in Montgomery's case, if it's preventing him from playing for a day or two, okay. But if it's preventing a guy from playing in 3-4 days, just do the injured list. Try to actually play with fully healthy players. It's one thing if you are in a title race and say an 85% Colson Montgomery is better than a 100% Jacob Amaya, which is true, then sure. But you're not in a title race, so you can rest these guys. But I was really hoping to see this young core of Vargas, Montgomery, Kyle Teal, Edgar Carroll, Chase Mydroth, Lenyn Sosa, maybe Curtis Mead earns his way into core status. And yes, you do have to include Luis Robert Jr. since the team is exercising, his team option for 2026. You were kind of hoping to see, can they finish strong and carry that into 2026? But instead now you're going to be down 2 of those guys. And it really hurts to see Vargas go down, because he's been playing really hard, where playing hard actually can matter in baseball. Running the base pass and defensively. And it's good to see that he's been playing hard after he cooled off in June and July. And that's what I've come to love about Miguel Vargas. And remember, I was probably one of the biggest get Miguel Vargas off this team advocates last year when he was hitting 104, when I was like, this is a trade bust. But he went from looking like he was being held hostage by the White Sox after getting traded here last season to playing with passion, playing with pride, being willing to fight for his big league career. That's what I've come to really respect about Miguel Vargas. He went and he fought to keep his big league career. He was like, okay, you want me to make these adjustments? I'll make them, because I want to be a big leaguer. He accepted that. Okay, I've gone from the best organization, the Los Angeles Dodgers, to possibly the worst organization. But you know what? I still have an opportunity here, and I'm going to take advantage. And he's won a lot of people over with that willingness to play like that. Play wherever the team asks him. Be willing to make the adjustments to be better, like he did in April. And then just run the bases like his hair's on fire. I mean, he's willing to stretch singles into doubles. We haven't seen that on the South Side for years. And he's exactly what the good team needs. Even if he's just going to be a raised floor player, you need those 1.5 to 2 F4 players just as much as you need superstar players. And with a month left, and how painful that looked, it could be this injury is going to cause him to miss the rest of the season. And it also took the wind out of the Sox sails, because after Vargas's grand slam did make it a whole new ball game, the Yankees go on to run off 6 runs over the final 5 innings after Vargas departed. Now, could have this been prevented if MLB had that running base as college has? It's the green base, they kind of have it, and the white base. And, the runner's got to run to the green base. It's supposed to intend to prevent, runners from rolling their ankles by tripping up on the first baseman's ankle or spiking them, that type of stuff happens. But Mead's throw was a little off that, it probably would have still caused Vargas to try to field the ball while Aaron Judge is just charging for first. And that's a big man charging to first. And, Aaron Judge is a big reason why the Yankees lineup definitely thumped the White Sox. And as I saw the lineup that the Bronx Bombers threw out, I got this feeling of just being absolutely jealous. And I'll discuss why after the break. Hey, Locked On White Sox fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. And use my limited time promo code season and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought, hey, this is too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code SEASON for a limited time. 25 cent per gallon bonus. That's again, promo code SEASON, limited time 25 cent per gallon bonus. Promo code SEASON, offer varies by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter, and we have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcast even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. And everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. All right, so I hate to admit, I'm dreading that I have to admit this, but I hate to admit that I'm actually jealous of the Yankees. You know, and I've always loathed the Yankees. Although the Locked On Yankees folks, they're absolutely lovely people. They are. They're one of the few Yankees fans I've ever met that are like, hey, these are generally decent human beings. Because most Yankees fans are arrogant, whiny, annoying, entitled. And again, any Yankees fans who stumble across this, I'm admitting I'm jealous. And this is a White Sox show. So I don't care how you feel. But think about it. You had Yankees fans trying to rip off, a Dodgers outfielder's glove and injure them. Mookie Betts, it was Mookie Betts, right? He had every right to go wig out on those fans. And those fans should be banned for life. You got them whining that they haven't won a World Series since 2009. I had fan-sided Adam Weinrib on the show a few times last year, telling us how Yankees fans just have it way worse than us White Sox fans because the Yankees lost the World Series. Give me a break. We endured a 121-loss season. But I am jealous because the Yankees keep constructing a lineup to crush the living daylights out of the baseball. They hit 3 home runs last night. The White Sox just committed too many errors and gave up too many home runs to even have a chance to compete with the Yankees, who, yes, they're not leading the AL East, but they still have a very good shot at making the playoffs. And I'm jealous because they construct a power lineup because they play 81 games in a power ballpark. And every day, as I've been harping on this. The White Sox should do the same. Although maybe you should find those power players who can also field and run the bases, and they do exist. They're out there. In the 2005 White Sox had guys who could hit the living daylights out of the baseball, field and run the bases, at least smartly. Paul Konerko was never a speedster, but he was a smart base runner. So I'm just saying, get those guys because right field plays to power, just like New Yankee Stadium. And stop being afraid that the wind might be blowing in. Okay, because that is one of the few times that, yes, it can be hard to hit home runs at right field, but still, when the wind is typically blowing out, get guys who can put the dang ball in the air more. Because I looked at the Yankees lineup last night that they rolled out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're running out 7 regular players out there with an OPS over 700. Now, I know 750 is more the decent clip, but I still think 700 is a decent OPS because it usually means you either have a good enough OPS to get that number over, you have a good on-base percentage to get that number to 700, or it's typically you have a good slugging percentage. And a decent slug is usually around between 400 to 450. But I was thinking about this. The Yankees got 8 regulars with an OPS over 700 and 6 with an OPS over 800. For context, if you throw out Colson Montgomery's small sample size, and I think we kind of have to because it's only been 43 games, Kyle Teal is the only regular player that the White Sox have with an OPS over 800. And even then, Kyle Teal hasn't been here that long. He's only been here for the summer. The Sox have 5 players with an OPS over 700. The Yankees got 8 regulars with a slugging percentage over 400. And Anthony Volpe is 3 percentage points below 400. And the Yankees got 6 of these guys that have a slugging percentage over 450. For context, again, if you take out Montgomery's small sample size, the Sox have 5 hitters with a slugging percentage over 400, and none of them are over 450. The Yankees lead the league in home runs with 228, a slugging percentage at 458, an OPS at 789, and they're third in on-base percentage. And it's not like they just went and signed a bunch of guys like they did back in the day. This wasn't like a lineup that they constructed back in the early 2000s when it was basically 29 other teams being the minor league system for the Yankees. Well, Red Sox were starting to spend a little bit, so I'd say it was maybe 25 other teams being being basically a minor league system for the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees drafted Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, Austin Wells, and Anthony Volpe. That's 4 players that you can pretty much consider, because I know Rice plays catcher as well, and Wells, but when you look at Fangraphs' everyday depth chart, they kind of have Rice at first, Wells at catcher, or flip either way. But again, that's 4 regulars that they all drafted. They then used trades to get Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm, and Ryan McMahon to round out the everyday lineup. And they took advantage of the Marlins and the Rockies being in a fire sale and the Cubs wanting to dump Bellinger's salary. And I believe they also added Giancarlo Stanton via trade too. So you think about that. It's not like they were going out and spending huge gobs of money like they did back in the day. They've been doing it pitching-wise, but lineup, they've been basically using their draft and farm system to build their lineup. And from a White Sox perspective, I would kill to be in the Yankees position, even though they have their flaws. And I hate saying that, but again, the organization at least acknowledges we play in a power-friendly ballpark. Let's get guys who hit the ball deep. And let's also try to draft some superstars, or at least guys with high ceiling potential, like Aaron Judge. And again, trade for superstars like Stanton or Bellinger or Chisholm. Sorry about that. When they are available on the trade market, let's be bold. And I would love for the White Sox, when Justin Ishbia takes over the team, God, that can't come soon enough, to wake up and realize they need more guys who, A, put the ball over the fence and try to aim for more high ceiling players in the first round, not raise floor guys like Jacob Gonzalez. Try to draft more Colson Montgomerys. Take those swings. If they don't work out, well, you at least draft-wise took a swing and put it on the player development, obviously. So then also build up a player development system. But build up that farm system reputation so you can pull off these massive trades like the Yankees always seem to do. But most importantly, build a lineup that crushes the baseball. And I'm not trying to have this be a total Yankees episode, but, maybe adding a few Yankees in the offseason could also help turn the White Sox fortunes around next season. Let's discuss a couple of pending Yankees free agents that the Sox could target after the break. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401k, property, or investments. And when you don't have a full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you too. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And I love Monarch Money because I can, stay on top of my 401k and Roth IRA because, I would like to retire before I'm like, say, 70. Also, it's helped me find those free trial streaming subscriptions I had that I forgot to cancel before, the billing kicked in. Yeah, those start to slowly, drain cash out of your pocket, but not anymore because Monarch Money pointed out, hey, you are still paying for these, Todd. So I was able to cancel those subscriptions. And my wife loves Monarch because it's making budgeting so easy and less stressful. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB. And welcome back to Locked On White Sox. I'm your host, Todd Welter. Again, shout out to all the everydayers. I appreciate your loyalty. Please hit the like button on today's episode. Recommend to your fellow Sox fans or baseball fans, friends, to subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On White Sox, wherever they get their podcasts. This show's available on all major podcast platforms. Hope you are going to have a great Labor Day weekend. I know the weather is supposed to be just absolutely magnificent. Hopefully the White Sox can provide some entertaining baseball against the Yankees over Labor Day weekend. Although last night, at least only for like 2 innings that happened. And if you're not going to the White Sox game this weekend, hopefully you've got some fun plans. Mine, I think I'm just doing some stuff around the house. Got to install a backup battery sub pump. We'll see how that goes. And I think I'm also painting my daughter's room. And I've wallpapered a room before when I was a kid with my dad, but I've never painted a room before. So we're going to see how that goes. Well, I got to give a shout out to former host of this very show and now of the CHGO White Sox podcast, Sean Anderson, for being the inspiration behind the segment. Because he suggested on social media the Sox should pursue Trent Grisham in free agency. And now, before some of you loathe to say, well, because it seems like whenever you make a suggestion for anybody, for the White Sox to trade for anybody or to sign somebody, you get some people like, yeah, I'm on board or something. That's a terrible idea. There's no sacred cows for the White Sox. Remember, this is a team coming off losing 121 games, and they're likely going to lose another 100 games, 3 straight 100-loss seasons. So they should be looking for upgrades wherever they can. And while they do have some bridge outfielders, if you are in the pro dump Luis Robert Jr. camp, and I've read the comments, there are plenty of you that are like, just pay the $2 million to make him go away. Grisham can play center field. And the Yankees might also have a few bullpen options the White Sox can explore, like trying to revive Devin Williams as a closer. And again, there's nothing wrong with seeing if he can be a closer if it's just a 1-year deal. Anything beyond 1 year, I would not be a fan either. But Grisham might be worth thinking about it, even though he's older than Luis Robert Jr. But he might be worth also looking into and moving him to, say, right field. Because, I love Mike Tauchman, but those legs are definitely starting to go. It's getting hard to watch him run in the outfield or even, to first base. You could definitely tell he's in some pain. And Grisham has a 248, 353, 471 slash line this year. Now that does translate to $20 million per Fangraphs' production to value formula. Spot Track, though, projects he can earn a 4-year, $47 million deal. So, could you make a commitment to Grisham at what Spot Track is projecting? I think it wouldn't be a terrible idea. Although Spot Track's projections can be either way off in terms of being way too low or way too high. Like I remember Jose Quintana, they were projecting, I think he was going to get like 10 to 15 million. Everydayers, you might remember that, because when I was advocating for them to sign Quintana in the offseason, I think it was like 10 to 12 million, and he only signs for 4.5 million with the Brewers. So, they can tend to sort of, I know they try to figure it out based on other data and that and other players' prior contracts, but still they can kind of go over. Now, the worry with Grisham, though, is his defense is slipping. He went from 8 defensive runs saved and 13 outs above average in 2022 when he was with the Padres. He's got a -9 DRS and a -1 outs above average this year for the Yankees. And this could just be his career season. So it could be another massive, basically you're potentially signing Andrew Benintendi, who, remember, they signed from the Yankees after the Royals traded him. Remember, Andrew Benintendi at least hit 300. He had decent pop when he was with the Red Sox, but he was supposed to be at least he's going to get, be an average guy. He's going to be an old school hit tool guy. He can at least get on base, that type of stuff. And we haven't seen that Andrew Benintendi at all. We've seen a decent second half last year, and we've seen him at least now try to at least be like, you know what, I'll hit for power. But he's not been worth, the richest contract in free agent history. And Williams could be still worth seeing if his airbender will work again as a closer, because that pitch can still be just downright filthy. But some guys just can't handle the adjustment to being the closer of the Yankees. And some guys also find a second act as a closer after flaming out as a closer with another team. And I think also Williams, just tracking his career, he's always had trouble making adjustments to pressure cooker situations. I mean, he struggled mightily going from the setup man to the closer in Milwaukee after Josh Hader was traded in season. And that was one of the reasons why the Brewers traded Josh Hader in season. They thought they could try to get more bites at the apple because they could just have Devin Williams, who was an elite setup man at that point, just have him go be a closer. Just, flick it. And some guys, it either takes them a little bit of time to realize that they are awesome and that they can get these outs, because you got to be absolutely crazy to be a closer too. You got to be crazy confident too in your stuff, because again, the margin for error is absolutely nil, especially if you're on the road trying to nail down a lead, because if you give up the lead, it's a walk-off, game over. There's no bottom of the ninth. And even then, you only get half an inning to basically make up it. So closers, they got to be, they got to have a different mindset. And once he gained it, he was a really darn good closer in 2023 and 2024, except for when Pete Alonso hit the go-ahead home run in, the wild card series. And closing for the New York Yankees is not for everyone. It's just not, because as I talked about it, Yankees fans are absolutely insane. They're crazy. So it's kind of hard to pitch in those pressure situations there. But he still has a 33.6% strikeout percentage, and he has a 301 FIP compared to the ERA over 5. So he's still got, relatively, decent numbers. It's just some hard luck and just trying to handle that pressure cooker situation. And Fangraphs' production to value formula says he should earn at least around $7 million. SpotTrack has him projected to get a 1-year, $5 million deal. And the White Sox need more high leverage guys. So I think that would be worth trying to see if he can close again, and then, flip him at the trade deadline. And if he doesn't work out, well, it would have only cost you a few million, instead of, say, costing like the $22 million gamble that the organization is going to make with Luis Robert Jr., because it's a $20 million team option. And if he gets hurt again and has the same probably type of frustrating production, you're then giving him another $2 million buyout after the 2026 season. So I have no problem with them trying to make that gamble on Devin Williams. If it's $5 to $7 million in a 1-year deal, go for it. And then the Yankees do have some scrappy bullpen arms, and that's probably what the White Sox would actually probably tap into. But they should possibly just at least have a discussion. If you do need a bridge first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt should at least, you can't hurt to discuss him, but I would save the cash and go with Vargas, Sosa, and Meade at first base next year. Well, that wraps up this edition of Locked On White Sox. But before I go, it's another big moment on Locked On. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV presents College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. In the first episode, it's out right now. Catch every college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. And I'll be back on Monday to discuss what I've wanted to discuss today and yesterday. But then you got the Luis Robert Jr. injury, and then now the Miguel Vargas injury. So I keep pushing it back, and that is discussing what should the White Sox start considering extending some of these rookies? I also have another minor league Monday report too, but feel free to leave comments about today's discussion regarding Miguel Vargas' injury, being jealous of the Yankees lineup, and some pending Yankees free agents to target in the offseason. You can leave them at the episode page on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, at ToddJW or at Locked On Sox, or you can email me at LockedOnWhiteSox@gmail.com. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Talk to you Monday.